Welcome to Virtual Society. I'm your host, Itamar, here to dive into the art of community building and beyond. Today we have Nick, the founder and CEO of Wanderers, a groundbreaking, epic sci-fi experience. Nick and his team are not just creating an engaging game, but also weaving comics, music, and short films for a completely novel experience. I'm excited to have Nick with us today to share his insights and experiences on how storytelling is so important to drive community engagement and to shape a vibrant internal culture as well. Enjoy the episode.
Hello. Thank you. Well, happy to be here.
Great to have you. So I wanted to just start right off and ask, what is Wanderers, first and foremost?
Yeah, so Wanderers is a sci-fi universe where you can take a lead role in. We, most popular, have a very, very fun Web3 video game. We have short films. We have full-length music albums, a radio station, comic books. Really, this is a sci-fi universe that you can jump in as deep or as shallow as you would like to.
Nice. That's amazing. And why does that matter? Because you're doing stuff a wee bit differently, we can say, from other games in the space or games in general, because you're looking at it as more of a collective experience. Why does that matter? Why does that change things?
It matters because I really believe that people like a story, people like to have fun. So as much as we can do to make people feel involved in this universe, have fun participating and contributing, and really tell an enjoyable, good story, people in return, they want to be invested in the products and the community and the universe, and it just all around it's stickier and it's more rewarding experience to be a part of.
Nice. Where did it actually start? Was it first and foremost the game and then came the other stuff, or did it start as something else?
Yeah, so we launched Wanderers in August of 2021. We were in the first round of NFT collections, and Wanderers was a very unique NFT collection at the time because they were all animated loops with original music, really deep traits and lore attached to them. And they were not a profile picture collection. They were actually the inverse, a first-person point of view collection where you're in the pilot seat. You are the avatar, if you will. And so I think that uniqueness really captivated a lot of people who have been by our side since day one as we've dropped more NFT collections, as we've started building a video game, and as we've dropped comics and short films, all kind of stemming out of that initial vibe that was set from the original Wanderers collection.
That's very interesting. So is it the same team that's been working on the music and the movies and the game, or is it just like separate segments within the company?
Yeah, so we are a very lean team, and we have a lot of really amazing partners that we lean on, rely on, collaborate with. So, for me, it's really important to put the right people in the right places to help us succeed, no matter what that looks like. So we have a lot of collaboration across all these different things. We internally on our team, we're not drawing the comics. We're contributing to the story and the writing, but we have, comic professionals that handle that. Same thing with the game, right? We contribute game design and feedback and art direction and everything like that, but we are not hands-on developing, right? Actual game developers are doing that, and we have writers on the team, we have artists on the team, we have a musician on the team, we have community manager and social media people. So we have all of these different talents that contribute as much as necessary to every facet of Wanderers.
Got it. So you're saying lean team, you're not so lean. You have quite a few people. You're being a bit humble there. But I think in terms of everything that you guys are doing, it is very, very impressive. You have a bit of an art background yourself.
Yeah, so I got my start in animation. I worked at some interactive design agencies where we would work on things like touch screen installations, projection mapping, app design, websites. And so that's where I got really familiar and experienced in interactive storytelling, right? Creating stories and experiences for people to interact with. After many years of that, I went on my own to be a freelance animator, where I would take on clients and create motion graphics for them. And at the same time, I was building up a YouTube channel where I taught people how to do animation, free tutorials and resources and project files. And so I was building up this YouTube and Instagram following at the time around my animations, and was experimenting with like early prototypes of Wanderers without even knowing it yet. Was making animated loops, sci-fi inspired, and during that time, I got accepted onto Super Rare, which was a really, really popular kind of prominent digital fine art platform, and having a lot of success on there with my animations. And then we started seeing the rise of collections like Bored Apes, which got me thinking, hey, we could do this, right? I could take my skills as an animator and figure out how to make a generative animated collection that no one's ever seen before. And so that was kind of how, one thing led to another, and launched Wanderers to kind of see what would happen. And, we sold out very quick, and it became really popular really fast. I think more than we were ever expecting it would. And so we've been, just building out Wanderers universe and community and all aspects of it ever since.
Amazing. I think you're the first guest that I have that actually started from kind of the NFT and migrated, quote unquote, into gaming. So that's very interesting to me. What was it like then? Like, it's, from my perspective, at least from an outside perspective, it was crazy, like in terms of the market itself. What was your experience like?
Yeah, it was definitely crazy. So I've not lifelong, at a certain point, I got into crypto very early. Obviously I wasn't a baby trading crypto, but I got in pretty early.
Over 18.
And so for me, it was really exciting because I always loved crypto. I was, buying Bitcoin and stuff throughout college. I was spending all of my money between the couches on Bitcoin because I was really I thought it was really cool. And so then, several years later, I'm an artist, I'm an animator, and there's an opportunity for these two worlds to collide. You can now sell digital assets for crypto. So for me, this was just a really cool merging of two of my passions. So that was super, super exciting for me. I saw the value proposition right away, have been hooked ever since. And, like you said, we do things a little bit differently just in terms of our order of events. We're a very Web3 native team. So that kind of angle comes, we're not game designers coming in and trying to adapt something for Web3. It's the other way around. We're Web3 at heart, and are adapting a fun game to be enhanced by those mechanics. So we didn't set out to make a video game. But we were approached by some investors, Animoca Brands and GameFi Ventures, at the end of 2022, who they actually approached us, and they thought that this universe would make a great video game. And I'm a lifelong gamer, so of course I agreed. And I'm really happy that they've been so supportive, and they see the same vision, and they have the same, vision for where this can go and where it should go. And so I think that's why it's been really, really successful for us, is being aligned with, other really powerful folks who see the potential like we do.
100%. And just for context, for anyone who doesn't know, Animoca Brands is one of the, I would say, most powerful sources that could pretty much back you. And they approached you guys, which means a lot in that space. I want to circle back to what you're doing in Wanderers today. So right now you're serving as the CEO, you're obviously the founder of Wanderers. What's your day-to-day look like as like the CEO of Wanderers?
Chaotic. There's a lot going on, we're essentially still a startup. So we are all, for better or for worse, we wear many different hats. So on any given day, it could be business strategy. Sometimes it's literally making art, interfacing with the community, working on marketing initiatives, jumping in Twitter spaces. I think that my goal my skill that I'm most proud of as CEO is being able to find the right people for the right roles. I think that the team we've built so far is really, really strong in all the different areas that people have been brought on to do. So anywhere where I don't feel qualified, to take a lead on things, we have the right person in place to be able to do that. So really, I think the most important job as CEO is knowing your limitations and how to set other people up for success who are qualified to excel in those areas, because you can't be everywhere at once. You can't be proofreading a comic and also working on the game development while also looking at music initiatives. Like, there's too many different things to be boots on the ground with, where you want to have the right delegation in place.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And now when you guys are more, let's say, established, but you still have a lot of different avenues of pretty much things that you are working at, how does that structure looks like in terms of, is it the same kind of team working on everything, or is it just split into these guys are working on the music end, these guys are working on the game end, and etc.?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's segmented in the sense where, we'll have dedicated game designers. We have dedicated platform developers who work on our Codex platform and our Galaxy and our questing, right? We have developers on here. We have developers here. We have, people who are closer boots on the ground with the community, who are, kicking up any feedback or issues or love from the community, kicking that up to the team. So, it's about kind of having your core teams, and then you have a managerial structure on top of those. So like myself and my partner Jenna, we're both pretty hands-on across everything at a high level and setting up all of these teams for success.
That makes a lot of sense. So you said that you pretty much built your own social media presence, a YouTube channel, an Instagram page. Do you feel that your journey as a content creator affected the way that you are now managing and your approach to Wanderers?
100%, for sure. So I think a main reason why we were successful in the beginning was that, back in 2021, if you weren't around for it, it's hard to even imagine how crazy things were.
Yeah.
Just so much chaos everywhere. A new project launching every 5 minutes and multi-million-dollar mints happening every single day. So back then, I think it was really helpful because people, I've always been doxxed. So to have a non-anonymous founder getting up ready to launch something, 100%. People were able to say, hey, look at the team. This guy's been on, has tens of thousands of followers on all these different platforms and has been making, tutorials and giving out free stuff for years. So I think it adds an element of trust to it versus kind of a faceless, maybe a faceless random dev that it's impossible to find anything out about. So I think that there's kind of this social contract when you're doxxed that is important. And I think it's important for people on the other side because it gives them more confidence.
Yeah. Did that actually translate also to the way that you approach just transparency in terms of Wanderers itself? Are you sharing like development updates and stuff with the community on a regular basis?
Yeah, well, I've always been really big on that because part of my whole content creator journey was really about breaking down the walls and like a lack of gatekeeping. So I would make something really cool and then show people exactly how to do that. That's part of the transparency. And, I think a lot of people, maybe they have this conception that I need to keep all of my secrets inside, because if my secrets are revealed, then other people can take those secrets and they can do what I'm doing. I find the opposite to be true. The more transparent you are, the more you show people and lift other people up, it actually comes back tenfold as a benefit for you.
I totally agree. And I totally echo that. What would you say was your biggest challenge, not necessarily just in building Wanderers, but throughout this journey? Because you started pretty much your entrepreneurial journey as a content creator and just as a contractor and an animator. What would you say was the biggest challenge that kind of affected the way that Wanderers is now?
I would say the things that I've struggled with most are maybe momentum, right? So in this space, you are required to be on and communicating and promoting and everything 24/7 without pause. I mean, you'll make the biggest announcement of your career, and then people a minute later are going to ask you, like, when's the next announcement?
Yeah.
And so stuff like that is really, I think it's really hard to, you can't be prepared for that. You can plan as much as you want. I mean, we'll plan for months in advance. We'll look at what's happening around this activation and we'll plan it out in extreme detail. But then once it happens, there's a million things that you didn't notice or you didn't think about, that, other people, when you have thousands of people also looking at it, they bring up, they notice, they call out improvements or issues. And so I think there's this aspect of, it's a double-edged sword. The ability to talk with each other 24/7 in Discord and Twitter and all these different channels is an amazing resource, but it can also be a lot of noise that could distract you from your vision and, potentially become stressful because, things take a lot of time to build. It takes a long time to build a game, and not everything is shareable all the time. So even taking, a couple of days or a week of silence could be really detrimental to your momentum. It's a real momentum game.
That's for sure. And you mentioned pretty much the 24/7 nature of Discord and a bubbling community, which not necessarily everyone have, but you guys do. And I would like to kind of pick your brains a little bit around what were the strategies that you found effective in growing that community and getting people to be involved, because you went through several cycles, I would say. You've been here for a while. So I'm sure you had your ups and downs, and I'm sure you had to deal with it in certain ways. What would you say were the strategies that helped you guys keep a steady community engagement going?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think for me, it is, you have to be a little patient and you have to trust in your own strategy and you listen to feedback, but you can't ultimately get swayed by it because only you are going to know what the vision truly is that you're working towards every single day. So there are certain things that are just simply out of your control. And, that's like market conditions and, anything that's happening in, global events that affect certain things. And even if they're out of your control, people are going to look towards you at, especially when there's a financial attachment to everything. Mm-hmm. So in order to kind of manage that, I think it's important to give people, always give people the next thing to look forward to. So you're thinking about, okay, well, here's my next big activation or marketing initiative, but what happens right after that? What happens right before that? And whether that means, okay, if we have 15 announcements, let's break them all out into, instead of one, big overwhelming thing that people aren't going to read, let's break these down into to easier to digest things. I think that my approach has definitely over the years has turned much more into, we need to make moments. So that's the way that we theme things, right? We don't have a closed beta number 2. We have second jump, and it's thematic, and it's more, it's the same thing under the surface, but it gives people more of an emotional attachment. It gives them, a more thematic attachment. So I would say, if I distill this all down into one, it's focus on making moments and the order of the moments and how you get from one moment to the next moment.
Nice. And your definition of moments, I'm just going to add a little bit. So your definition of moments is pretty much events, announcements, next steps that you are amplifying with pretty much the story behind them.
Exactly. And a basic example of that is, hey, we need to have a play test, right? Every game needs to have a play test with the community, but can we throw some personality on top of that? So now instead of a play test, it's a tournament, right? Tournament is easier thing to talk about and understand.
For sure. That's a very interesting take, because the nature of this space is very much the new shiny thing. It's coming up next, and the competition is very hard. The competition for attention, I mean. And we do see that's something that I have come across now, really, with Game 7, with pretty much people asking for the next thing while the current thing is still ongoing. Like it's not even over yet, but people are still asking about the next moment, which is very interesting, just to see how you need to capture people's attention in various different ways.
Right. And that can be, that's really fun that people are that passionate about whatever you're doing, that they want the next thing already, but can also be, you have to make sure that it doesn't get, stress you out, because you might have spent 3 weeks, 4 weeks sprinting and crunching to get to this moment. And now it's gone in a flash, and maybe you're unprepared for the next moment. So and people are asking you what's next. And you're like, I just spent 4 months straight getting to here. So I think it's, there's some training involved mentally.
Yeah, for sure. You need to work on your mental capacity for sure in order to work in this space. That's a guarantee. How do you kind of balance, I would say, the need for innovation and experimentation and doing new stuff, while also maintaining some stability within the community? Because you guys are doing a lot of stuff, and you still need that, I would say, pillar thing, something to stand on, something that would keep the community sentiment stable. How do you guys balance it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of it has to do with the way that you're actually, communicating or marketing certain things. And if you set expectations too high, it's ultimately very difficult to deliver on those expectations. So I think I like to approach things as a under promise and over deliver. I think that we're quite good at delivering, and so we just want to make sure that we're not setting expectations too high. Not that we can't meet them, but people will appreciate that more if things are better developed, that they're experiencing. And so I think that, and part of that too is really just like community culture. Like if you've set up your project out the gate and all you talk about is the price of things or volume or whatever, well, now you've really attached yourself and your community, culture around that sort of thing. And I really want to approach it as, hey, we're here to make cool stuff and to have fun, to enjoy good art, to enjoy good music, to enjoy good games, to be nerds, really.
Mhm.
And so for me, it's never been about, prices or, things like that. And so, of course, not everyone will always feel the same way, but I think it helps shape a culture of people who, they feel the same way. Of course, everyone wants price to go up all the time, but we're actually, it doesn't really matter either way because we're enjoying the ride.
For sure. And you're mentioning the culture and pretty much community culture. Is there moments that you can think about that actually helped you guys shape the culture that you now have and are happy with?
Yeah. So, when we first launched, I think that one thing that really separated Wanderers was the obsession with the art and the depth to it. So we had dedicated channels and people that were looking for really specific traits and the lore behind certain combos. And, we did things to set that up by having, deep lore, like right out the gate, that was that kind of encouraged people to look a little closer. So there's
Did the
things like
community
that.
get involved? Like
Sorry?
with the lore? Did the community got involved with the lore? Like did they help
Deeply.
you? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, very, very deeply. I mean, I remember we dropped a short film about a month or so after launch, and we had a lot of people watching it together on Twitch, and people were, really like blown away by the twists that were in it, and catching the Easter eggs. And so I think that the lore is definitely a really big part of like the deep culture. And, like a funny story is when we minted the first collection, we had some glitches in the artwork. Some things it said it was this trait, but it displayed as this trait. And so instead of us going on, we can't change it anyway, it's all on chain now, but we just turned it into part of the story, and we explained why there was glitches in the films behind the Wanderers. And so taking things that could ordinarily be seen as like an issue or a problem, we can actually rotate them into storytelling and enhance the lore even more.
That's amazing. And I think something that anyone that kind of tunes into this conversation, I think creativity is something that really is front and center with Wanderers from everything that I'm kind of learning now. And I believe that's the case, but I'll still ask it. Does having that deep of a lore is something that helps kind of the community also get deeper connections between themselves because they have something they could nerd out about and they could really learn the story and really understand what's going on? Is that something that you've seen, like pretty much a selected group of like super fans? Is that something that happened because of that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's, inside jokes that go back years that still come up constantly, references to things, I think that it's really like, we're trying to create a fandom, right? So you think about any kind of fandom that's happening across, different movies or games or whatever. And you always have a subculture of people who know everything about it, and they can talk with each other with the intricacies, and there's new people coming in, and the older people who have been in there for a while, they love to help the new people kind of get caught up to speed and show them what their favorite things are about the ecosystem. So, and like I'm saying, a common thread is it's just storytelling. Storytelling comes in a lot of different facets. Storytelling is the way that you market. It's the literal story behind things, but there's a lot of different angles to it. But it's just, I think it's just the most important thing that you need to approach is just getting people involved with the story, whatever that story is. And I think you had a question earlier, about experimentation and creativity, right? So there's a lot of different ways to approach these things. Like you can you can just kind of mimic what other people are doing that's worked out and is successful for them. But just because it's successful for them doesn't mean it's successful for you, right? If you try to copy something that Facebook is doing, well, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. So anything they do is probably going to work. Mm-hmm. You can't look at those strategies. You can get inspired by them, and you should get inspired, and you should understand why things are working. But at the end of the day, you need to be true to whatever product you're creating, and really make the decisions that are people haven't seen before, that are unique to you, whether it's a brand new concept that no one's ever heard of, or it's an improvement of an existing thing that people are familiar with.
And I'm going to ask a really difficult follow-up to that. How do you do that? Like, how do you remain true to you? Like, I think it's very difficult to not mimic someone else and to not kind of look around and see what other people are doing. And it seems to be working, so let's try this. How do you actually go about it and do what you feel is the right thing?
Yeah, well, so if you're not first, then you have the luxury of seeing what has worked well for other people and what has not worked well, right? So if you're going to do an airdrop campaign, you can look at what worked and what did not work, and you can, meet it. You can morph that into a strategy that you feel confident about. So, but there's certain things that they just take experimentation. You're going to fail. You're going to mess up. We've messed up. I'll be the first to admit it. We've messed up mints. We've messed up, we've messed up things that we've put out that were buggy or didn't work as intended, or, things that we really thought people are going to like and they didn't really like. There's been so many, but every time you mess something up, well, now you know exactly how to not mess it up for the next time. So, and this is a trial by fire. It's the only way you're really going to know is by trying to do it and seeing what happens and learning from your successes, and more importantly, learning from your mistakes.
Yeah, because there is no playbook, not in our space.
No, there's no playbook. There's, especially not here, especially not when things, because you might have a good idea and a month later you're halfway through it and it's already old news. It's now doesn't work anymore. So, you have to, your intention of why you're doing something is critical.
Very interesting. So how do you manage to still experiment, still do all of the things that you've done, still piss people off, and still kind of have a strong community besides all of that? Or was it because of all of that?
Yeah, well, so part of the experimentation is really like cutting the fat and doubling down on what's working. So, we're now in a play to airdrop campaign with questing, right? We've done questing before, and we see what is working for people, what they're enjoying, what they're not enjoying. And, before, our questing platform was somewhat basic. I don't want to say it's basic, but it was not incredibly unique. And so we've taken those same ideas now with our new campaign, and we've, it's more fun to say, hey, go get your galaxy, expand your galaxy. Doing quests lights up new stars in your galaxy. The bigger your galaxy, the bigger your airdrop, right? This is more now in the story. So instead of a questing bulletin board, now you get to be a galactic landlord and you get to grow your galaxy as much as you want. Under the hood, it's the same thing, right? It's the same mechanics. Technology. It's the same mechanics, but now it's thematic. It's more fun. It's shareable. People they feel more attached to their galaxies than a questing bulletin board. They want to share them with other people. They want to learn how to get more of it. So I don't think we could have arrived at that without the steps that came before it. So for us, it's just we have to constantly be improving, doubling down on our successes. And I think that if you're really trying and you're making progress in whatever fashion, that people who have been by you, they're going to appreciate that, as long as you're thinking about how it's advantageous for everyone, new people and old people alike.
I very much agree with a lot of the things that you are saying, also regarding just the importance of storytelling. Have you read *Sapiens* by any chance? Are you familiar with the book?
I have not read it, no. But
Okay,
I'm looking for a next book, so I'll check it out.
It's a history book. So it's full on just the history of the human species. And large sums of this book is pretty much the importance of storytelling. And that's kind of what separates us from every other animal that's out there. Pretty much the power to imagine something and to collectively believe in something that is not necessarily a true thing. So we believe in money. Money is an idea. It's not necessarily a thing. It's not necessarily something that is out there. And I know it's a bit complex what I just said. It's a bit philosophical, but if you read the book, you know what I mean.
Well, you're right though, right? So like in caveman times, they would draw a picture of a lion on the cave walls, and they would say, you know, that in itself, they're telling a story to maybe their children or other people, and they say, look out for this. This is dangerous. But there's a story around, you know, visual storytelling there.
Yeah. And the part that the part that humans can do that other animals seems to not be able to do, because animals can communicate, hey, there is danger here, there is danger there, and they could actually lie as well. That's something that is also been kind of proven with chimps and stuff. They can't collectively believe in an idea. So a company is also an idea. We're just like, you're running Wanderers, and we're all agreeing that Wanderers is a thing, even though you can't really like touch or see Wanderers, the company. But we all understand it, and we all agree that it's a thing. And that's kind of that's the superpower of the human race. And it feels that you guys have really mastered it. So that's very interesting to me, just to have this conversation around that. And I want to tie it back to community, because this is a community podcast. So why do you think building and maintaining a strong community from your perspective was and is important to Wanderers and its future?
Yeah, well, you know, at the end of the day, without community, you know, community can take on a lot of different forms, but without community, there can be nothing. There is no business. There is no game. There, you know, whatever thing you're talking about, it doesn't exist without community. I mean, if there's no community buying stocks in the stock market, what is it? There's nothing. There's no value there, right? And so, if there's nobody playing a game, then the game ceases to exist. One, because, you know, players can't match against each other. Two, because the game can't make any money. So having passionate people, you know, we've hired people from the community. We have, you know, different contributors that started as community members that we're able to elevate up, right? And it becomes like a numbers and quality game. I'm sure everyone has heard the saying, you know, all you need is 1,000 true fans. It's a very true concept to have true fans. And, you know, just from a business perspective, you know, we obviously need to make money. There's no secret there. If we don't have a community of dedicated supporters who want to buy the things that we put out, well, then of course we'll cease to exist. That's true for any company. I mean, you look at some like cult-like companies that have come out that are so successful. You have Liquid Death, which is it's water, right? It's water, insane. But somehow they've become one of the biggest, if not the biggest, water companies in the world. Why? Because they have incredible branding that has formed a really, you know, tight community around it. Once you're in that, that's the type of water that you're going to buy. We could look at a million examples of that, but if you have Taylor Swift, right, how she's able to become probably one of the most powerful people on the planet, because she has a rabid community of 13-year-old girls that will buy anything she puts out, go to any show, right? So community looks a lot of different ways, but at the end of the day, it's really, you know, your own personal cult or army that you know, you can use them and they can use you.
Yeah, it's very much a relationship. Like, it very much feels this way as well. Like, as a head of community, from a head of community perspective, it often feels like a relationship, pretty much through and through. So I wanted to ask you for some advice for potential aspiring entrepreneurs that may be listening. So you had a quite long journey by now, what would be the one advice that you would give to aspiring entrepreneurs in the Web3 gaming space today?
100%. And I'm going to just take a step out of the Web3 gaming, just in general. I think it'll apply more, but you need to figure out the core thing, the one thing that you are uniquely good at, that no one else or very few other people are uniquely good at this one specific thing. You need to isolate that. You need to go hard. You need to double down on that. You need to expand it, and you need to figure out how to give people value out of that skill that you have, right? So for me, it all started with I was uniquely good at animation and showing other people how to also get to that level for free, delivering them free value. And then what happens is you essentially become a notable, figure in that space. Because again, this is all about people. People trust other people. They don't trust companies. They trust people. And when you're trusted and you've given so much value to people, they want to give you that value back in whatever way it is, whether it's support, emotional support, or social support, or monetary support. If you help people, they want to help you back. So find out the thing that you can get good at that can help other people and start there.
Nice. I love that. That's very communal as well. I would say the most communal thing that you could do is to be the most kind of valuable member in the tribe. Kind of providing value to other people gets you a lot of value back. That's kind of, exactly. I would say, the secret of the universe. I think we will end it here, just because I don't want us to go too much over, but this call has been fascinating and it's been a pleasure. I think most of this conversation really just boils down to the importance of storytelling, which I think is very important. So I really think you are an expert in that field, and I really want to thank you for your time as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. It's been a really fun conversation, and I've had a great time. So thank you for allowing me to tell everybody a story.
Thank you for being here. I want to encourage everyone to kind of connect with you and connect with Wanderers as well. I'll have your social media and the Wanderers website and the Wanderers Twitter and Discord. I'll have all of that in the description. Is there anywhere else where they can find you? I think that the game is downloaded. They can download the game.
You can download, depending on when you're listening to this, you can download it on Epic Games right now for free. Anybody can play. If you want to find me, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm worldwide, so it shouldn't be too hard to find.
Mr. Worldwide. Nice. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. As this show grows, you guys have you're playing a big part in growing the show, and subscribing, following, sharing, liking, commenting, every little bit really helps. And I want to thank you, Nick, again for being here and sharing very valuable lessons and insights. And I can't wait for our next call. So thank you very much.
Thank you.